Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to the ESL Arena in Katowice. We are still churning through our day 4 games, and we find ourselves with 2 teams, again, 1 win and 2 losses. For them, this means that every game from here on out could potentially eliminate them from the entire tournament and put them out of running, of course, for ESL One Cologne. LANXESS flickers in the distance, and it may just fizzle out if they make a mistake from here on in. Dignitas started off pretty roughly going up against FaZe, who they were very familiar with, but this match was nothing but familiar for us, of course. Some strange stuff. We saw them struggle big time on the T side to control mid, and from there it all fell apart. They did move on to Nuke though, which Empire chose in their next map, and they showed some extreme dominance despite a tough T side to kick things off. From there on in, it seemed like Dignitas felt that they had the measure of Nuke, so they picked it against Hellraisers and made a massive mistake. Half-time was 11-4 in favor of Hellraisers as they brought one of the best T-sides on Nuke we've seen in quite some time, and from then on, Dignitas were nowhere to be seen. Now, of course, they face elimination here, and their opponents, the Renegades, are in a similar position. Starting off a little bit weakly against Flipside Tactics, they had to grind through to day 2, where they've also fell to Splice, who got right in their heads and played the mental game like no team we've seen at this event so far. They did eventually bring a win up against Fluffy Gangsters with some great play on the CT side of Mirage. We saw some problems on their T side, but they got through anyway. But this win has done very, very little to raise their spirits. We still see a very sobered squad of the Renegades wandering the halls here of the ESL Arena. Will this raise their spirits, or can they dig deeper and find something else to get them through? That's the big question. But one thing is for certain, they're going to have to throw a spanner in the works here against Dignitas if they want to take down this seasoned squad of Danes, plus, of course, Rubino. There's a lot of questions over this one, Alex, as well. Dignitas looking stronger earlier on, I feel, at least in that second map. We saw Cajun B get to run around a bit, but against Hellraisers, not a chance.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the desks expected so much more from Dignitas. But, I mean, come on, you're Australian. How are you doing? Are you fighting the bias so far?
I'm going to give you the esports answer and say I'm completely impartial here, Alex, until I get out into the green room, watch the game.
As soon as that jacket comes off, I'm telling the guys at home now, he makes a lot of noise every Renegade round.
Australia, mate. Let's go.
Australia, mate.
I believe. I'm throwing it down.
Good day. All right. Right, we're going to start talking. Vendetta Blue, thanks very much, Mitch, over on the stage. So, Renegades are going up against Dignitas. Now, had this been the Dignitas that we expected in the first pre-show, this would be, well, almost not worth discussing. In the same vein as our Tyloo Splice, but we saw what happened there.
Yeah.
What do we say, really, about Dignitas in their current form going up against a mad Renegades?
Lackluster, disappointing, saddening to see.
Sure.
A lot of negative adjectives that you can use for Dignitas plays right now. Renegades hasn't been that much better, but at least with the way they were looking after day 1, we kind of expected them to be one of the first teams out. So in that sense, that's a better, bigger positive than what we could say for Dignitas.
But I mean, Blue, just quickly run through those strengths that we did normally outline with Dignitas. I can't help but feel that youngster Config would have been a big part of that.
Yeah, and I mean, in yesterday's match specifically, we saw Config. He was one of the very few good things that they played on Nuke, but the problem is that beyond that, it was just non-existent. Like Tenski dropping the ball entirely, and I warned about this during the cast too, that the problem is that because things were so top-heavy between Config along with Cajun B, that if it came down to one of the lower players having to clutch out towards the end, then it would have probably fell short, and that's exactly what ends up happening there. He has to try and close it out, and just no way he's going to be able to possibly do that. So relying a lot on those heavy fraggers to do the jobs for them, and there's just no way it's going to work in a team environment like this one.
Certainly not. Now, in the interest of time, we're actually going to be making this quite short and actually start moving into the veto quite quickly. This is where things could get interesting. I'd like to kind of let you know, I'd like to know your thoughts on where this could possibly go. Dignitas have already thrown a curveball with Nuke, and we saw what happened there. I can only assume Dignitas are going to be putting all of their eggs in one basket.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Renegade's doing the smart thing here, banning out Mirage. Good map for Dignitas. And Dignitas normally ban out Dust2. That's something that they don't really like to play at all. So for the better part, I feel like Dignitas have an upper hand in the vetoes, but then again, I felt that way going up against Hellraisers as well, and well, we saw Hellraisers coming out way ahead
Cobble
after that, and well, Cobble being actually removed. It's a good map for Dignitas, but again, like we've mentioned several times with Renegade, it's one of the better maps for the Australians as well.
I'd be very surprised if Cobble, or okay, there goes Nuke. I was about to say, Dignitas still let it go through all the way again, because I would not want to play that a third time. whatsoever.
I guess you
considering
can
how
only
poor the
get
results
better,
were.
I guess, at this
I
point. if you're
suppose,
Dignitas.
but like it's like, yeah, you're not good at it. Don't do it again.
Dignitas
So-
have been given a choice.
Yeah, and they have not vetoed Dust2 yet, so that seems to be the obvious choice here for Dignitas, because it's a map they don't play. And I don't think Renegades play it that much either, so at least not in the recent months. So unless Dignitas have had a complete meltdown,
This is where they should take it.
this should be Dust2. They're taking their time here.
There you
They're
go.
actually going to veto Cash. So we're going to see a map that decides their fate that nobody plays.
Now, I'm going to be honest. I bit my tongue, but I did speak to Yam at breakfast. And he said, we're going to do something silly with our vetoes, were his exact words. He knew he could try and get under Dignitas' skin with the map veto, and it does look like Renegades are going to try and play Dust2 versus Dig.
But like the weird thing here is how baited Dignitas got throughout that veto process, because they're left with Cash and Dust2 as their option. So they knew they had the last ban there, so they could kind of direct the traffic of the veto, but and they still end up on a map they don't play.
What's so funny is this could happen a second time. This happened versus Hellraisers, where they were like, oh, we got nuke, here we go. And then Hellraisers poop on them. And now it could happen again. It could genuinely be an utter nightmare for Dignitas, not forgetting that the qualifiers seem to be the monkey on their back getting to that major.
And if you want to talk about storylines, how funny isn't that the team that started the nightmare for Dignitas in major qualifiers back at MLG, that was Renegades.
Oh my God.
And they might be the ones to put them out of their misery.
There's so much riding on this Dust2 game, and I spoke to Yam very briefly, and his words were, it's not going to be pretty, mate. And I was like, all right, fantastic.
believe
Sorry
that.
to all the Australian viewers about my awful accent. I don't know why I did that. I feel like it's just because I spent enough time with Mitch that it kind of leaks.
Yeah, it leaks in.
It does indeed. Right, gents, okay, so it's going into Dust2. Let me try and brainstorm this. Cajun B. Let's not forget the prowess Astralis have on that map. Could that leak?
Could definitely help, and we might see double ops coming out. Then again, Dignitas really haven't had the economy to do that in their previous games to a certain extent, and when they were T-side on Nuke, it predominantly went to Cajun. But we've seen Cajun being very good on Dust2 with that op. One of the issues that Astralis ran into when they were playing with Cajun is that they got very passive, and he was pretty much playing one position for the better part of it, and that was by cars over towards long to hold off Catwalk with that op. So not sure if they're going to have different positions or if they're going to play more aggressively than Astralis do on their CT side, but Cajun's definitely going to be a massive factor for them here.
Yam kind of suffers from that same problem, though, in my opinion, where he's fairly passive. So I feel like that's going to be a big key area here about this matchup, is who is going to end up showing up better. And I feel like throughout the course of this tournament so far, Yam has actually been one of the brighter things about Renegades, despite their somewhat dreadful run up to this point. So considering his good performances coming into this matchup, I feel like they might have a bit of an edge over specifically Cajun B in that regard.
That's good. I mean, let's kind of return to the Cajun B, but also the fact that in the interviews, Dignitas have made it abundantly clear that it is a duo ship. This is not a one-man show with the AWP, and MSL is taking that AWP role alongside Cajun B. And I mean, Dust2 is a map commonly known for those double AWPs, as you've touched on already. Is that something Renegades can have the potential to pull out? Have we ever seen another man pick up the AWP?
Actually, they don't really have a secondary opper in addition to, or I guess, to kind of aid Yam if something goes wrong for him.
Yeah.
So I guess they could, by the spur of the moment kind of thing, to let
Shove it
someone
in
who
Sponge's hands.
feels it. Yeah, just whoever wants to pick it up. But they don't really have that same go-to guy as Dignitas do.
Yeah. Wow. It's going
to be ugly, I think.
It's
like
going to be
Yam
ugly,
said, yeah.
but it also just feels like it's going to be a huge mind game from the get-go from Renegades. Like we said, they are fizzling out. It's like NIP in Dubai when everyone thought that they were disbanding, and all of a sudden they start playing pretty damn good CS.
Yeah, and well, we always talk about how frustrated Dignitas seem to get with themselves and how they can, in many ways, defeat themselves. Very much like what Renegades looked like we're doing for the better part of for the first 2 days. They must be completely out of it after that veto. They have to be thinking like, well, we've put ourselves in the absolute worst situation we could have put ourselves in. And that's not a great feeling of going into a game with.
Certainly not just two team names. Blue, give me a name. What are you thinking?
Every time I've seen Dignitas show up to one of these
That's
events,
not
I've been
just a team
disappointed.
name.
So I'm going to go with Renegades.
There we go. Okay, and Ben, actually just give me a name.
Dig.
There we go. That's only half a team name. I respect that. Making up for Blue and his too many syllables. Right, let's get into it. It is Dust2. It is going to be a little bit of a weird one. Dust2 between Renegades and Dignitas, and one of these teams is going home now. Casters are ready.
What an insane game we've just been given here. None of us expected Dust2 coming into this. I don't think even the teams particularly thought this could happen, but Metis, what are your thoughts coming now into this matchup?
Dignitas, are you okay? I feel like I
I
need to
think
give you a
no.
hug.
Yeah.
I understand the whole concept of it's Cajun B, he's came in, he's a god on Dust2, that's all well and good, but that means there's so much pressure on him now, because the rest of the team, they very rarely play Dust2, and when they have, they got wrecked recently at ECS. I think it was against Mouseport 16-3, before that NIP 16-8, also at ECS, so they don't have great results on this map. That being said, Renegades, in recent memory themselves, aren't exactly Dust2 gods. They've only played it twice, and they've lost twice, so the really confusing thing for me personally is that Dignitas surely on most other maps would be firm favourites, but now this is up in the air.
Yeah, it's literally gone to a 50-50 game. You think that mentally how Dig are coming into this game must be so hard for them to break out of after the nuke kind of issue, let's call it, against Hellraisers. They've been baited into another incredible matchup here. And Renegades, if you go back historically, I mean a long time, this wasn't a bad map for them. They beat the likes of Luminosity here, CLG, I guess, Liquid. They had that 13-16 game against Fnatic. Now, this is a long time ago. This was with Havoc in the lineup. This is arcing back many times, quite some time now. But if you go back that far historically, you'd argue better for Renegades. But in this instance, in this matchup, for a decider, you've got to feel it's 50-50 now.
Oh, absolutely. And remember as well, for those of you just joining us for today, this isn't just a best of one for the entire thing. They've already played 2 best of ones. Dignitas played Nuke both times and got destroyed off Hellraisers, who themselves would admit they haven't really put that much time into Nuke. So Dignitas, if they end up getting knocked out, as harsh as it sounds, they really only have themselves to blame off these vetoes.
Yeah, very much so. And there's been players missing who you'd expect to have bigger performances. Config being one. He's had up and down plays. He's had some good games. MSL, where have you been? These guys need a big performance here. Otherwise, I can imagine this team will be on the rocks. But guys, we are ready now. It's going to be Dust2 between Team Dignitas and Renegades to stay alive in the qualifiers. And it will be Dignitas to start on the CT side, and on the T side, it's Renegades. Let's get into games. The pistol round is underway. Get off this face. Here we go. Right, so let's see what Renegades bring into this first round.
I think with Dust2, not necessarily the most important map when it comes to knife round. Quite an even map overall. Of course, it does depend on the teams. Dignitas have gone for a very aggressive opening start in mid, but Yam will be putting down Rubino. Cajun B did spot a couple of heads, but decides to just turn tail and run back to the site, making sure that A isn't given up for free. And this is going to allow Renegades now with the player advantage to look to push through Catwalk.
And this used to be one of their fundamental plays. It used to be back in the days with pretty much the MAC-10 just being started, being utilized by Sponge and such, up short, up cat. But already Dignitas, this passive approach may start paying off. Tensky was still positioned at long, so he can play a lovely Overwatch spot. But Renegades are to the site, and Azza catching out Cajun B has weakened any aspect they had here. So 4v3, bomb is planted, the retake focused towards shore with the 2 players. They need to make some impact here.
They do. MSL is going to land himself the first one, but both players tagged, and now it's going to come down to MSL and Tensky, 2 of the underperforming members of Dignitas, and they've both been put down with style. Renegades have Azza to thank alongside Yam, and it was Azza yesterday on Mirage from Shadow on CT side who was godlike. He finally stood up to the plate, so if he has a repeat performance, again, Dig are going to be in trouble.
Oh, Dignitas. What a position to put yourself in. As I said, no one to blame but themselves here to end up on this one, but we'll see if they can pull this off. Again, Renegades, of course, going back into the buy. No surprise there. They've got the 3 SMGs to really build out that money, but a triple stack towards long could have done some damage here from Dignitas, but the flash was on point, and he still has been let loose. Tensky's Deagle will find its place, but that's about it. And now MSL and Config are left to have to walk all the way over from B. A little bit of a gap in that smoke. Not perfect. Did make up for in the end with another to go down, and they will start cleaning this up. 4 still alive, the 2 rifles still very much in this, and a clean one coming out from Renegades. They needed that to get off to a good start here. And let's be honest, Renegades, some of their sides have been absolutely atrocious in this in the games we've seen so far, but this is a good start for them. They can go back into the MAC-10s, keep building up that economy as best they can, and for Dignitas, kind of grit their teeth and bear it through the first couple of rounds.
That's it, really. At this point, all they can do is grin and hope that they get at least a couple kills. They've got 4 HEs into this round, so a bit of investment. And looking like all those HEs are going to be up until long. There's a slight block, so one of those nades bounces off the wall instead. But in fairness, Renegades are charging onto B anyway, with Az's MAC-10 breaking the deadlock. Stillo got 3 kills in the previous rounds. He's leapfrogged himself up to around 4k. He's very well off, and it should be more kills to follow suit. Renegades have control over the site, they have control over the map, and they will take a 3-0 lead, very likely.
Yeah, more than likely here. Tensky and Rubino so shut out at the moment. You can see just spraying it. You've got all the bullets in the world, and you're probably not going to keep hold of these SMGs, so you might as well be relatively aggressive. Keeping hold of the head armor, always nice though. Able just to kind of fire around, it's fun. Going to catch out Tensky in the end. And let's discuss this. Let's break this down, because this was quite the storyline when you saw them against Fluffy Gangsters and such. Renegades consistently struggled on their T side. Once it came into the buy rounds, that is. That was their biggest problem. It lacked power on Cobble. It looked very wishy-washy, very just, oh, we'll just try and make something happen. They need to get over that hurdle, and for Dignitas, their sides aren't necessarily weak. It's just the team has looked very much apart, very much individual, very much not the Dignitas that you can occasionally see. So a very important round now coming in. The 2 MAC-10s actually retained for Renegades here, so curious as to where they're going to be placed, but looks like a quick mid to B play might be coming through this. MSL completely blinded by the ramp and just jumps. MSL must have hit his jump key or maybe mouse wheel down, having a bit of an issue there, but Config playing the smoke perfectly, finding his Stillo, but gets overwhelmed.
Yeah, just too many players to find and kill. Now the bomb's going to be coming across to B. Said the 2 MAC-10s are the weapons that have dropped those, so definitely a worthwhile trade for Renegades. JKS will be holding down left click, takes down Rubino with him. And now with the bomb planted, Dignitas with an opening M4, they have a decision to make, and it looks like they've made it. They're going to save. Renegades already, in what seems like only a few minutes, have taken a 4-0 lead on Dust2 on the T side as well.
And it's got to be a mental game coming in for Dignitas now as well. You've got to be able to keep your head high, but at the moment they're making such little impact to this. Rubino yet to get off the starting blocks. A couple of kills here and there for the Dig guys, but you know, Renegades just seem to have kind of not necessarily come back at all. That's not right, but they're playing with kind of the power that they've had before, this kind of very confident play, this very all-in play. They don't kind of play to that slower style. Sometimes when they have that kind of aggression, you actually see a lot more from them. So nice to see that coming through, but they're looking at the Dig guys, saving hold of the AWP, very important going forward. Tensky as well, able to retain the M4. They could buy around this, see what Dignitas go for here. 2.9, 3.4, it's not good, but it might just warrant a bit of a pistol upgrade here and there, getting to around the 2K marker and not much further.
Just bolsters their defenses a little bit alongside the AWP in Cage and B's hands. Looks like it's going to be a boost up short as well, so he may have a quick peek through, see if he can claim himself a kill, and try and drag this back for Dignitas. Still early days, but all the signs are pointing to Renegades maybe running away with this unless something changes right here, right now. Dignitas, you have decent positions, and there is the play they were looking for. It's Sponge that gets picked off, but there's Yam moving 8-0. Has not been put down just yet, and with this smoke, they're going to get across to the A site again.
Rubino and KGB, I think they were looking for a boost then, but someone didn't communicate well enough to the other, and they've just completely fallen back from this. Rubino's waiting for someone to peek up and over from the site. Might go for a little bit of a junk play of it. Now they're going to go for the boost into the site on the retake, but Az is watching this not particularly well enough right now, but he does make up for it for the spray. But Cage and B still alive and kicking. He's the danger player at the moment. Rubino has recovered a rifle, but now this 2-position play coming out from Renegades is pretty decent. Justillo should be able to watch this, and Dignitas are working against the odds here. Cage and B though breaks into the site, doesn't have time for the AWP to really make much difference, and Azza again. That's the Azza we were looking for quite some time. He's been quiet up until now, but 4 kills that round. Going to get himself into a really nice position. 5-0. Dignitas doing a little bit of work there, but they seem very, very isolated from each other.
It's a miscall from Sponge. Going from at 10, he could have afforded an AK, or they could have dropped one across to him. Maybe he assumes that there was more of a force in there with some Kevlar behind those pistols, so he may think this is somewhat of an eco round. Not entirely sure that. Then again, if he just charges in with the MAC-10, it's an expendable weapon if he takes point for his team, which seems to be the case anyway. That grenade goes in, does pretty significant damage. MSL is good for 1 kill before falling down. It's finally that Config that's showing a bit of the promise that we know he's capable of doing. Can he get a second one? A lot falls on his shoulders. Meanwhile, there is a lurk from Azza, who's still on catwalk. The molly has connected, but Config's good for another one.
And there's no one at A at this point. Only one flash with Sponge though, so it's going to make it incredibly hard to get up Cat, or at least through the double doors. And of course, Azza doesn't know this. He's not sure where Cage and B is. Tensky being removed knows, gives away the sign that, okay, maybe it's a little bit weaker towards A. So now Sponge, has he made it across cleanly? He has. So 4 HP, he's going to be regretting that MAC-10 now. I can tell you that. But Cage and B can still cause a bit of a problem here, but this could be a plant, and then it comes down to Azza and holding off any instant rotate, and this is what's coming his way. 2 players up Cat.
Dignitas have to win this round. There has to be an ironclad round. They line up, and Azza was so close to connecting the dots, and as you said, this is where you'd love an AK over the MAC-10. That being said, Rubino is very low, but the M4 headshot is good enough. Dig finally get themselves on the board at the cost of 3 lives, and they have to make sure they keep this momentum. If they reset their round loss bonus, their economy is going to be in the dumps, and Renegades will know it.
And for me, that round comes down to Config being extremely diligent at B.
Yeah.
Not overextending too much, still finding those 2 players and just stopping that B play from coming into any sort of position of power. So well played to him, keeping B under wraps. Everything else just had to come in on that retake, and it worked out in the end. Azza, though, you started to almost believe when you saw them lining up there, like, oh my god, it's going to happen. But The buy comes back in. The SMG is really making a robust economy for the Renegades. A couple of plants here and there certainly going to help, but a good buy as well for Dignitas. They can definitely get back into this one relatively comfortably, still having enough utility to work with, but it looks like a bit of a mid dash coming out from JKS and Astilla, and I wonder if they're going to really commit to this. MSL is waiting, and he's got a good angle on it, but sprays a little early, gives away the game, and suddenly Renegades have broken through. They have a complete bit of mid presence, and it's down to Config to keep this one in check, and he is drastically outnumbered.
Way too premature from MSL. He was battling the recoil, and it cost him his life. Just like that, Config now has to try and pick up the pieces. That's the first one, but now his position is known, and he's in a bottleneck situation. There's too many angles, too many weapons pointed as well, and with Tensky and Rubino below 20 health each. This round has gone to Renegades, so that nightmare has came to fruition. The good news for Dignitas is maybe they can save 3 weapons and just drop, and they'll be okay to go in the next round, but Renegades are taking a stranglehold on Dust2 already. And this is the issue with just putting all your eggs in the Cajun B basket. If he doesn't start to go nuts, you don't have much to fall back on.
And losing out on these guns isn't going to help either. And Renegades can almost afford this. They're not the best or most robust team in the world at the moment still, but 5k, 4k, oh, and the run boost is going to come out, or at least a little bit of a cheeky peek. Oh, and Yap gets it! That is sick. Absolutely sick. And Tensky falls. Now the money is a huge problem for Dignitas. They are skint beyond belief. The reset comes out. The most they've got there is 2.7. And Renegades playing with the passion, the fire that we expected, and Cajun B kind of almost thought about that being a possibility. You see him adjusting, like, not like this.
Yep.
And there we go. MSL buys into a CZ, P250 there for Tensky. Oh, this is a rough one.
This is likely going to be a double eco as well. Yep. They have about $1,400 on a couple of players, so this is Renegade's chance now to get an 8-1 lead, potentially. Let's see if Dignitas can throw a spanner in the works. Well, absolutely not. They are being battered and bruised. And just like that, 7-1 comes up, and this is why I said, Dignitas, you're okay. You effectively played yourself into this situation, boys. What were you thinking?
I don't know. The thing is, I actually really like the Dignitas team. I love how they play on certain maps. I think they're a really nice team to watch and very enjoyable, but this is not a map you ever see that on for them. You see individual power, sure, that's never been a question, their individual ability, but at the moment, what an absolute struggle of a game for them. Good work on Longo from Tensky to catch out Sponge there. The nade came through, the triple stack really starts to pay off, but Az has taken away that gun, so not allowing anything for free.
As expected, double eco in affords them an AWP in the next round, but then you are towards last chance saloon at this half at least to try and salvage something. Renegades have lost the first player, that's going to be Sponge. But with Dignitas having very little to play with, it may not mean anything whatsoever. The pop flash will be coming through mid just to make sure that if MSL is there again, he's not going to be able to see a single thing. Smoke down on CT side, and here comes the push. MSL with a pretty tasty frag with the CZ. Actually dinks JKS as well, so that's a pretty solid play. And now suddenly only 2 Renegades members survive, and they're very low on health. It goes for the reload at the worst possible second. This is looking good. Dignitas in their second round only of the map. It comes at the hands of Pistols.
Great play from Cajun B then as well, just really creating those crossfires, and MSL causing so much of an initial issue then. Really?
Auto sniper, hello.
Okay.
Tilt City.
Yep.
I mean, it's not a terrible weapon.
It's not a bad purchase. It's just a big investment.
Yeah,
here.
that's it,
like,
exactly.
And already losing out on config. Oh lord, this is just unraveling, isn't it? If you're Dig, you're just sat there going, my lord, I need to just untilt. It's going full like JDM lounging style of tilting at the moment. Just unbelievable. All right, so now you're down to 4. How do you play this one out? It's hard enough anyway being on the CT side here. So they now need to keep hold of all the extremities of this map. One being long. You might have heard that nade possibly hit you, Silo. I don't know if it actually hit him in the end. They need to be quite careful here. 7-2. MSL. Where does he decide to go? So he could solo out on B, possibly. Rubino could maybe push out towards mid. They could try and spread them out. But it is going to be Tensky having to deal with the 4 players now coming. So a great flash catches them. He spots them out. Instantly, here's the response.
Actually really smart not to stick around for too long. So he knows if one player was in long, he wouldn't have been hit by that flash and could have easily got entried. And because they're a player down anyway, he has to be so careful. Any mistake could cost Dignitas massively. And Tensky's got his head ripped off his shoulders. That leaves Cajun B in a familiar position. He loves to use this spot with the AWP. But Renegades, in fairness, they're not pulling the trigger on long, so that's going to take away the only smoke that Dignitas had. Now it's on MSL, his auto sniper. Probably one of the best weapons for this situation, but he has to connect them, and he hasn't.
The Dak is about to do some damage, hopefully. But no, look at him. He has to back away from this. Renegades have just snuck their way forward, just utilizing that smoke so well. Now going to apply pressure to A. You've got Yam on long. Cajun now distracted. He can't look left or right. He's going to be pincered in, but Rabino has to be where the buck stops here, but he's going to back away too. Renegades, you've got 20 seconds. You've got to make this stick, but so far they have such an upper hand in this round.
Oh, massively. And Dignitas, with the heavy investment of the auto sniper, will not be able to get a solid buy into the next round as MSL's on $50. Fair enough, they got 5k on Cajun B, but they'll be thinking about just saving these weapons again, so Renegades will have the round. I can kind of understand MSL's decision with the auto sniper. You do see it from time to time on the B side. It's very good at holding it by itself. And I think what they realized is that Renegades have had a lot of mid presence plus catwalks, and maybe put a player in mid, 3 players on A, keep MSL on B by himself. But then if you get instantly AWP'd at the start of the round, then the house of cards comes crumbling down. And now it's all on the aforementioned auto sniper. Nice shot from MSL. And the last 2 players are over on A, so we should be able to save this one. But again, it's the top of the scoreboard that matters.
Oh god, timing.
Oh no. MSL, no, you can't miss that! That is an absolute catastrophe for Dignitas, because look at MSL's economy now. If he saves the weapon, he has a full buy easily. Instead, there's going to be a FAMAS. Oh, it's heartbreaking.
I just threw my pen at the screen. It's all gone wrong.
Yeah, Lauren's attacking me. She's so disappointed. She's throwing the pens at me. Understandable, though.
Yeah.
What was that play?
Unreal. All right, this is the fast mid play before they called them out, and this time it's not going towards B. This is a fast hit towards A. 3 up cat, excuse me, 2. JK's taking a little bit of further time, but they're all going up. KGB's in a good position this time, though. He's not being instantly pressured, but now it all comes together. But he's had the time to adjust. Rabino's there to support him. This is a little bit hap-handed from Renegades, just walking into Dignitas, who will make the most of it. Az is trying to forge a path through mid, and successfully doing so far. I'm not sure if he realizes Config's there as well. And actually, it's going to be Config to find Sponge. Now he definitely knows it, but outnumbered, outflanked. And there you go. Tensky comfortably dispatches of him, and a good round from Dignitas then. A little too much from Renegades. A little bit too quick, a little bit, you know, casual approach to it almost. And let's remind ourselves, Renegades can't get carried away here. This is still their qualifying game as well, or a chance to qualify. If anything, it's just a chance to stay alive.
Completely agree. They have to keep composed. It's so important they don't throw away 3 rounds, because Dignitas, as poor as this has started for them, they can salvage this map. They certainly can, especially on the T side. We always talk about it, the CT struggle with the economy could be an issue for Renegades, as it has prevailed to be an issue for Dignitas. This is MSL's chance to strike. He very nearly lands the second shot through the smoke, but JKS, in fairness to him, does pick it up himself, so 1-for-1 trade will favor Renegades.
That's starting to warm up a little bit here. As said, though, if MSL made a little more of that, you could have seen something, well, a very different picture starting to form. But it's going to come down to Config if this keeps building the way it is. Playing over by B platform, you've got Cajun B holding the mid push. Az is going to be on testing that. His lurking's been pretty impressive so far. Config playing a very passive role in this. Does have 2 flashes, so you can pop flash over the top of that. And they're getting a good idea of what's coming their way. And it's all going to come down to the next couple of seconds. There's a molly, a couple of smokes, or a smoke, should I say, a flash or 2. Renegades can build through this one. And it looks as though it's almost go time here. You can see them edging forward. Config has to be the main man. Cajun B's now supporting. Good flash, great teamwork between it, but Config didn't make the most of that at all. Now Cajun B has to deal with everything Renegades are about to throw at them, and he has no step in towards B. Support is pretty far off here. Renegades looking to make this cross, and timing might be against Cajun B, but a stunner comes out, catching JKS. Can't follow towards Yam, and now left in a 2v3. The uphand is not with Renegades this time.
Absolutely not. No more. It has dwindled away. They're going to get the bomb planted, but they have no smokes, no flashes, nothing to deter and funnel Dignitas into an advantageous position for them. Dig on the meanwhile have a flashbang. Cajun B's AWP has already rattled off 2 frags. Can it get any more from this? Yam and Azza have a pretty solid crossfire down, but that flash doesn't actually connect from Dignitas. This is getting a bit worrying now. Yam's going to land a headshot. He's been on form so far. The second kill could come in. No, he's actually whiffed that completely. Finally gets it. And there's Cajun B. He's got 4 in this round. Single-handedly takes the round for Dignitas, giving them a 4th. But the problem is they lose 4 weapons on the way here, so they're not going to have a great buy. Rubino's only got $50. MSL's on $550. Oh, this is going to be rough. They can drop, though.
That was a hero-level play coming out from Cajun B there to be able to pull that one back into line. What a performance from him. And the pop flash to help Config out as well. This is the kind of power you get when you have a player like Cajun B. This was the only map that you'd say that he could really shine on individually further than the others. And we're seeing a good dash of that here. 8-4 now. Scoreline looking a little more respectable for Dignitas. Untilting, kind of cool themselves down. The triple stack towards long, though, could pay off for Dignitas now as Azza has got himself into the smoke, and I'm not sure if they see that. They have. Rubino guesses what's come his way. Maybe saw a foot step or two towards that smoke, so understanding the presence that they wanted to have. And Renegades starting to not hit necessarily a wall, but their aggression is being met by sheer firepower. And somehow Yam and JKS have gone out pretty far here. I can imagine that you're going to see the repeat from KGB, and you have. There you go. Locks it down. Rubino joins in. And Renegades trying to go in a little dry towards that mid play, but not going to get much out of it.
Much better from Dignitas. And as you said, Renegades not quite run into a wall yet, but we know that they are sometimes their own worst enemy, that they can get emotional, push the self-destruct button and get a bit carried away. So it's important, again, that they just calm things down a little bit. I would say into the second half, if they start poorly, maybe call a tactical pause, just try and wrap their heads around what's happening. There's no need to panic too much just yet, but Dignitas, there's no doubting that they have stepped their game up, especially with Cajun. He is now on 14 for 7. He's top fragging on the entire score.
Yeah, really impressive stuff from Cajun. This round, though, just down to the P250s. If they can get a plant, absolutely awesome. If not, that's pretty much what you'd expect to happen. But the thing with me is the fact that Renegades are actually up on their T side, something that we haven't really been able to get much of a glimpse at. It's always been pretty much a CT side looking good, but then the T side falls apart. You see the flaws, that maybe the kind of internal struggle coming through for them on that side. So this isn't a bad buff for them at all. But Cajun B should be able to dominate this round especially. They might go for a bit of a drop towards CT, but then there's Rubino. So again, can Rubino handle it? That's the next part. No, he gets overwhelmed, and now Cajun B's in a little bit of a tricky spot here. Tenski's being pressured at long, but he does find Sponge, and the bomb does get planted. So again, not the worst result in the world now for Renegades, and they're down to 2, so not sure how much else they could find. Still gets a kill, but that's about it. So well handled again by Dignitas, not being flustered and building back into this game. It's a mental game, I feel, for Dignitas at this point. This map's certainly not a strong home for them, but 1-to-1, pound for pound, you'd put Dignitas probably ahead of Renegades here normally, but this map certainly evens the odds so far.
Yeah, when it comes to individual talent, and you know, Dignitas have consistently played against the top tier teams in the world on a regular basis, you would definitely give them the small advantage, which is another reason why we were surprised by Dust2, because if it goes to a lot of the other maps, you think, okay, they're firm favourites. 2 orbs in play for Renegades.
Sponge on the orb, okay. Yam, fair.
Yep.
Sponge not seen much of, and oh, there we go, Yam being gifted a start to this. MSL removed, and well, there you have it. I think even Config got tagged by that as well, but able to back away, not taking too much damage, and with an early advantage, Dust2 becomes a bit of a bastard to get over, if I'm honest.
It does for a CT's point of view, because then you have to start to spread yourselves a little thin. Now you can see there's only 1 player in mid, 1 player on B. They stacked 2 on A. Pretty standard stuff in this situation from Dignitas, but as you said, you used the correct word. It was gifted. It was gift wrapped across the Renegades. There you go, have a free kill. There was no flash, no smoke, nothing to deter them from getting that first entry. So Dignitas have definitely not looked 100%, it's safe to say. Now, what can Renegades do with this advantage? They've had it before. They've been unable to convert it into a round, and this would be a big round to take. A 3-round lead going into the second half. If they win the pistol, they're in a great position.
Looks as though they want to go for the challenge towards B, and actually that boost above the smoke is actually quite successful considering how Config has been playing onto the B platform. He's not there this time. He's playing towards, tucked in towards the car. You've got Cajun B on site, so those two are going to try and create a bit of a crossfire. They know they don't have full control in mid, but Renegade's not really pushing that button yet, but the bomb's at B. That's what you need to keep your eyes on here and see how they build into this one, because Config and Cajun, no matter what the time is, can still do insane amounts of work here for the CT side.
And just as you say it, Cajun B will land himself the first kill. Is he going to expect a 2-pronged attack? No, he's not. Now it's up to Config. JK spins around, lands the headshot, beautiful entry, fragging power. And just like that, Tenski's AK is all that stands between Dignitas and conceding a 9th round. And he's only making the long journey across. Yam lands the AWP shot. Renegades finish it strong, 9-6.
Great performance so far from the Renegades. You've got to be saying that this is not looking good for Dignitas, but there is time for them to adjust, come back, and that second half has to be on point. So guys, do stay tuned. This is turning out to be a very good game. Welcome back. It's 6-9 in case you missed it, and this has promised and actually delivered so far in being a very good game to see. But it's Renegades' turn on the CT side, and it's Dignitas' time to shine on their T side. And for their sakes, we hope that they can get this one started well.
Yeah, this would be massive, and you actually said this before we went live. In terms of like psychologically and mentally, this pistol's so important to Dignitas, alongside obviously getting themselves economically set as well for the second half. But here we go, it's going to be a fast push onto A. The Renegades setting up for the retake. They do have a kit and a smoke. They've got flashes to get back on, so this is a risky endeavor for Renegades. They're pretty much playing into the wheelhouse of landing those one-taps from the USPs.
Are they going to run boost?
Looks like it, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. All facing together. Run boost out. Everyone come through at the same time. Try and take incredible fights here. Cause problems, but MSL on the big flank comes around the back. Takes out Yam, cuts him down to the knees, and this is perfect from Dignitas. So far, keeping this incredibly clean. Ustillo will catch out one, but that is it. Nice stuff for Dignitas. That's the start they'd need to get themselves mentally into this half.
I feel like playing the retake on A is definitely a viable option, but you need a HE or a flash or something to get back on the site. Otherwise, you're allowing the angles and the crossfire to get locked down from Dignitas. So Renegades maybe with a bit of a hiccup that could cost them fairly big going through. It still has the scout. Rest of the players have the Kevlar with the pistols, as you'd expect on Dust2. And Dignitas a very heavy investment on assault rifles. You saw a lot of SMGs for Renegades when they're on the T side, but as it just round the corner, easy headshot, Rubino's dead.
Look how confident Renegades are playing. Dignitas need to be careful to not get outdone here, but there we go. Cage and B keeping it in check. So dealt with the mid threat. That was Yam. Now they need to approach the site. Not so easy when you've still got, a jumping scout there, a couple of CZs, and Deagles, especially on CT sides, you can just take shots back away, play the corners incredibly well. And Sponge either playing for information or just feeling very brave here. And oh my god, he's caught him with the pants down. Almost took down, I think that was Tensky then, trying to just turn away too long. But he saw them backing. So now as a JKS and Ustillo, now know what might be coming their way.
As you say, it was an information grabbing attempt. He tried to scout for information, he got it. Nearly a kill, which would have been a beautiful bonus, but now JKS, it's his turn to look for the info. He's wrapping himself all the way around the back, and he's got a deagle as well, so if he positions correctly, and Dignitas aren't expecting this, it's going to be pretty much all over for them, but Az is hiding in the smoke, meanwhile Astillo's tapping through the smoke as well. Can he land any shots? No, he can't. He gets picked off. And now Az turns to drop down with the CZ. One kill, nearly a second, but he runs out of bullets. And that should be Dignitas moving on to B. But now, the re-rotate comes in for JKS. He's watching the hold. Oh, he misses his chance, and he's going to die.
Yeah, he gets taken down. This was on a knife's edge, but Dignitas do brute force their way around the map as a pack. Thank God they didn't go by one. You could imagine that going so much worse, but just staying together, a solid 4, just rolling around, and Azza just Batmaning in from the top. If only he'd had a little bit better adjustment on that second shot. Of course, so much pressure, no info off the back. It's as best as you can expect, but that could have been deadly. But credit to Dignitas, playing together, not going one by one, not taking it lightly, and just picking up that round. That's what they need. This scoreline's getting very close now, 8-9, very clean. This is actually an eco. Oh my word, the rarity I actually get to say the word eco and not be lying to you is a real rarity. So an actual eco coming out, and you can see Dig know this. They're very much expecting some aggression here. Look at the default play. Rubino all the way back by B, Plat, and Marcel and Spawn, Tensky all the way back as well. So to be fair, Azza and Ustillo, with JKS got up pretty far. They need to be a little bit careful, but there we go. Dig have the gun, the firepower. They should be fine at doing this. JKS still going to make it pretty costly considering there's no investment. Yeah,
as you say, it's the purest form of the word eco. There's 0 put into this round for Renegades. And you saw Dignitas just sitting all the way back as a result of Renegades in the past looking for cheeky, aggressive pushes up mid. So I think they're very wary of that. 2 kills have gone their way. MSL dead and buried. I would say Renegades are surviving into this round a lot longer than I'd have expected them to, and they've done a fair amount of damage to config as well. Any more round loss, weapon losses I should say, in this round would be a bit of a capitulation from Dignitas, all things considered. And it looks like they are going to be able to scamper away with 4 players alive. Renegades concede. And it's also important to mention as well, Lauren, at one point this was 8-2 for Renegades. Correct. So Dignitas, they have completed the comeback. The question now is, can they keep going forward?
Yep, this is where the task begins now. Both teams have enough money to go into the buy. Bearing in mind, Dignitas do have the buffer of having those first 3 rounds, so their economy is far stronger. They can maybe support themselves into the game further, and MSL gets himself the AWP. So that's another touch. They'll be coming out to play in a bit of a stack towards B this time for Renegades. 4 players postured towards this, and Ustillo off with a bang already. Takes down 2, Rubino and Config get swept aside, and now you're down with 3. What an electric start here for the Renegades side, but there's still potential. You've still got MSL with that AWP. He can still pick his way towards these sites. he can still find some room, and of course, Cajun B still alive. That's a big threat on the board.
Sublime start, but no kits, lack of grenades. Dignitas is still in this round. Absolutely still in this. They've got 2 smokes. They can throw one into CT side, try and isolate the 4 members into 2 sets of 2, and then look to aggress in a 2-on-3. Actually, they're going in raw. This means that Renegades aren't going to expect a peek just yet. Obviously, that smoke telegraphs a mid-push. They're going to try and get a pick first and then convert off the back of that. But you can see right now, they're going to pee it on, and that was a must-hit shot for MSL. He's missed it, lands the second one. But if he connects that shot, it allows Tensky to then charge through B, and they have this 2-pronged attack. As it stands, it's a 3-on-2.
It's all about the timing now, and Azza comes around on the flag perfectly. Azza catches out MSL and Tensky. If he'd gone down, Dignitas would have had the A side. They'd have had time. They'd had control, but no. And MSL, you cannot be missing shots like this. You know what, any other day of the week, you might get away with it, but not in a game of this caliber. You're going to be punished. Yam's now got the AWP to hand. Of course, though, let's remind ourselves, did have those first 3 rounds, so they still have the buffer coming into this one to still reinvest, to still support themselves. And this CT side from Renegade so far is looking robust enough, but Yam going for a bit of an aggressive start here by peering out towards mid, and Cajun B and Config might want to punish this. Flash comes in, and there you go. Cajun B's going to catch him with his pants down. The flash was perfect, actually well set from the top of mid then, and already Dig do have some good control here.
I like this smoke as well from Astillo. He's going to be smoking off tunnels so he can still look through mid for that vital information, because he's a player down on his team. It's important he survives. He can't afford to die, and therefore he will give his position up. Better to play safe than sorry. Azza throwing down the smoke. He's now going to be taking the opportunity to maybe try and fend this off. 2-player stack, but now Renegades are coming through mid, and that's going to be right into MSL.
Still pop flashed into it. He's going ham.
Oh my goodness, he's got the 1 kill. He's dropped the bomb as well, but Config comes back. Meanwhile, Sponge is the next player to push mid. He gets picked off, and Dignitas somehow, someway craft the 10th round, but Lauren, this is way too close for comfort.
Renegades are going all out as well. They're just running into it. Like, Dignitas then were just in mid. They hadn't gotten, okay, they'd gotten some control, but not like this, you know, up in your face. They didn't have to go for those last-ditch efforts, but Renegades just went, all right, let's take the fight. Let's go for some big plays here, but well done by Dignitas to keep this one, again, back into calm. Back, you know, slowing it down. Double AWP on the T side now. Cajun B going to be picking up the secondary one. Again, MSL didn't have the biggest impact thus far with his, so this could be a nice touch on that. On the other side, just Deagles, P250s, a flash and a CZ for Azza there as well. So you want to keep this as clean as possible. And look, if you look at the overview map of how far back Dignitas are holding this because of the previous aggression, it is hyper passive, very much holding back by spawn. Seeing if that aggression came through again, reminding ourselves of how Renegades played that previous one that they had really up in their faces, pushing every extremity of this map. This time, a little bit more, I guess, held back at this point.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of the 17th round, where we saw them do a similar thing when they knew Renegades would be into an eco. The interesting thing for me is that Az has actually gone for a force, whereas the rest of his team haven't. And whereas normally at this stage you'd say, oh, he's just equalizing the economy. Now he's down to $500. So I'm not sure if there was a lapse in communication or they just wanted one power play, and Az is probably the most informed best player they have. And as I'm saying that, he nearly gets a double. Config's down to 31, but he now fancy Dignitas to just force their way through and collapse onto the site. But Tensky's going to be there. He gets headshotted down, very nearly gets picked off as well. Fortunately for him, Cajun B is going to come to his rescue, but Dignitas, even in rounds that should be completely swept aside, they are struggling.
MSL is having a complete mare this game. I've got to say, with that AWP, he got pushed down. Yeah, sure, it's really annoying to be playing that close, but still, he is not having the best of times. Back on the AWP, though. And on the other side, Renegades just going to have to suffer through with you know, a lot less here, considering Azza now down to 2.5. Not able to get much going for himself there, just a P250. And for Dignitas, this is a good build back here. It's been very, very close these rounds, though, and it always feels on a knife's edge, but... Oh, God. MSL, please! Start picking up the pace here, because you are not bringing what you need to into this game. To be outdone by Sponge on a scout, that is not what we want to be seeing here. And now 4v4 though, this should be once again brought back by Dig, but look at that pop flash, look at the pressure. Renegades are reading this well, but just don't have the firepower to really execute much out of it.
Look, for a second now, Renegades having 3 players coming in together, it could have been a complete massacre. That could have been some serious murder we witnessed, but instead, Astillo didn't decide to push up short. He is now the last player, and MSL absolutely should have had that kill, but it was a pretty beautiful shot from Sponge as well. It was actually through the door, into the head with the scout. But there's no doubting that MSL has definitely not been picking up where Cajun B left off after the first half, and I do wonder if this continues, will Cajun B pick up the AWP on the T side himself? At some point, MSL must be thinking, well, maybe it's not my day today with the AWP. Maybe I should just run with the AK instead.
Yeah, we're going to find out pretty soon. We do have a pause coming in right about now, so the teams want to just kind of have a discussion as to what's going on. I can imagine it's actually Renegades more than anyone. Just wanted to, yeah, there we go. So Sponge going the tactical pause. again, though, their money hasn't been incredible yet. They have had very few gun rounds coming in so far. So yet to see what they can fully bring. But this is what we said about Dust2, or at least what you said about Dust2, that it can be very punishing on that CT side. Hard to build up that really robust economy. So again, Renegades need to make the most of this because Dignitas are building back here.
Yep.
MSL having a bit of an issue here and there doesn't seem to matter for everyone else. Everyone else is performing just fine. You've had KGB very much at the helm of this.
The thing is, of course, you could say the same for most maps that CT is very punishing, but it's especially punishing on Dust2 because you absolutely require an AWP. You have to have an AWP. More often than not, you'll have two AWPs. Or an auto sniper in the hands of MSL.
Yeah, in that case.
That's why it's so punishing. So for Renegades to consistently be in these kind of scrappy buys is hurting them. You can see that reflected in the scoreline. It's now 12-10. Again, if you just joined us, it was 8-2 in the first half to Renegades. So Dignitas have really stepped things up. But even if Renegades end up losing this and Dignitas keep themselves in the qualifier for the major, this has not been anything to write home about. They have looked incredibly shaky.
They really have. And Dignitas having such a chip on their shoulder about going into the majors and always having struggles through the qualifiers. You'd hope that it'd come in all guns blazing. It's not been that just yet, but they have a chance to make up for it. 12-10, back in off the back of the pause. Dignitas still on that T side in. Yam completely blinded, allowing the likes of KGB and Config to sneak their way rather brazenly actually up short at the moment. And Sponge just says hello, quickly just sits there and says, well, if you're just going to walk at me without flashing at all, I'll enjoy it. That's perfectly fine. And now suddenly Dignitas at a disadvantage.
Once again, and it's KGB who is top fragging right now. He's got 25 for 11, so that is the talisman. That is the guy that you're looking at to dig you out of ditches, and is in one himself for the next minute or so, depending on how aggressive Dignitas want to play. And Yam with a beautiful shot onto MSL. The AWP is dead. Well, both AWPers, I guess you could say, for Dignitas are dead and buried, and Renegades are in prime position. And the bomb is also dropped in mid, so there was a chance for Yam to maybe land another shot. It would have been crazy if he had, so we'll let him off for that one. Ooh, meanwhile, he's actually getting caught with his pants. That gets picked up from Config for free. So Dignitas somehow gifted a lifeline. That was unfortunate timing, let's call it.
Yeah, that was sloppy.
Yeah, it was.
Don't get me wrong, Config is a very good individual player as well, but he was given that opportunity. To be fair, you shouldn't be able to just walk through mid and take a shot to an AWP without any sort of support around it. But Rubino, joined by Config, looking for the pickup towards 8, and Goose has been swept aside. That was a Stillo trying to play the little bit of a corner there. Now 3v3. Good work from Rubino to pick up this AWP. Actually quite exciting to see him back on it, but doesn't get much further. Trade out again, though. Config playing a very good role here, but Sponge going for it. He looks up, he hops, he jumps. He can't hit it, though, on the first try, and Config's going to punish you for trying to play like that. He is still a beast of an individual, but it's JKS looking for the retake. A long old spray down there towards Tensky, but we're back to a 1v1. Does he fancy his chances?
He certainly does. Next headshot could mean everything. This would be a big round for Renegades if they can pick this up, but Config on the prowler already with 3 kills in this round. Misses his first chance. Oh, he actually misses a second one. JKS has a real hope with this now. He's actually just going to hold down onto the defuse. Does Dignitas realize this? Config comes in, and with the second left, stops the defuse. But man, oh man, with some bucket butt cheeks there for a couple of seconds for Dig. That was too close for comfort. How far away was he? 2
seconds, ticking to 1. Config, a big saving round for him. And look at Config's money here, actually. It's very, very good. Sitting around 10k, so he can keep that AWP maybe in the hands of MSL if he needs it. Again, just going to keep their economy pretty solid. Sponge with a bit of a BDP there. Not going to work out too well for him. Gets picked up by MSL. And now Dignitas can just kind of wander wherever the... Oh, God, really? Really, MSL? Can you stop having an absolute shocker of a game?
We've got MSL's #1 fan here, by the way.
Oh, God, what is this round? Yam always kills his own teammate, tags up Tensky. Dignitas, what are you doing here? How has this happened? They had nothing. And now it's down to Rubino, who's been tagged again. Oh, my God, this is a travesty of a round.
I have no answers for you, Lauren. I'm just enjoying the salt. Rubino, last player, 30 seconds. Sorry, 30 health. I'm getting a bit carried away. Is it Zaza from behind from T-Spawn? Puts him down, and yeah, I think Travesty pretty much summarizes what we just witnessed. And now Renegades, from a situation where they were staring at a 14-10 deficit down, or 13-11, a massive boost to their economy because it was ultimately not too much invested. And Dignitas must be wondering, where are we going wrong? because there's so many mistakes. It's hard to pinpoint one.
And the thing is, they're still able to get these rounds on the board. That's the big factor here, is they're still leading now, Dig. But the thing is, I'm a huge advocate for how they normally play. I love Dignitas. I love to watch them. I think they are a brilliant side, but we are seeing such a shadow of their former selves in this one. They are still ahead though, 13-11. Renegades do have the bye behind them after turning around what could have been a bit of a clean closeout for Dignitas. Now, we're going to see the mid-take beginning. Cajun still very much alive and kicking this round. He is a huge factor at turning the tide towards Dignitas' favour so far. Config having his moments too. That's not too bad to have those two having good games at this point, but we'll see how much Renegades can bear here. They are down to a decent enough buy in the form. They do have some smoke, some mollies, so they're not completely at the whim of Dignitas yet. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Cajun B, he's gonna get caught. He comes a bit too early, and Yam nearly gets the second one. How's it alive? He picks up on Rubino. He's looking for a third MSL finally, but once again, Dignitas come out on the worst side of a trade that should never have gone the way of Renegades. Beautiful play from Yam, but no flashes. Nothing. Tensky now is going to try and take control of mid, but it's Sponge's turn to try and fend off the push. That flashbang is beautiful, but Config, fair play to him. He stopped Sponge dead in his tracks.
JKS has to find something here. He's got to find a way back in. As it's going for a walk through smoke, and that goes about as well as expected, but JKS steps out on B, gets punished. Good stuff from Config and Tensky again. Justillo now way out of this side, locked out of it. MSL and Config going to get positioned ready for this one. He only has the molly on the retake. He also does have a kit though, so he does have a way back into this with that kit in hand. But time is going to run out, and Dignitas don't have any utility, but they have the positions. Here we go, molly goes down, MSL forced down, MSL hits it on the way through. Good work in the end from Dig after a bit of a disastrous start against Yam. Renegades are not closing out these rounds, and they need to buy into this one. And the CT side has been lackluster from Renegades in comparison to what we saw in their T half. But again, Dignitas making several mistakes you don't expect from a caliber, or at least a team of their caliber, should I say.
Absolutely not. I don't want to sort of dump on Renegades here, but against a better team, Dignitas would have already lost this round.
100%.
I have no doubts about that at all. There's been a lot of misplays on both sides. Justillo coming up short. Spot MSL, tags him down, and Dignitas full on AK-47s. Renegades have 2 orbs. Let's see if they can make them work.
Yeah. Maybe pressured a little in mid here. Good work from Dignitas to get some good control to begin with. That double stack on short could be a huge hindrance to their progress if they do decide to go towards A, but we noted earlier, this is a very weakened down buy from the Renegades. You can see the CZs there, a Scout with Sponge, 5-7 with JKS, so far from ideal. If this B hit comes in, JKS is going to have to go for a bit of a miracle play. Yam still holding and showing that he is very much present in mid here, but it looks like Dignitas are building up short a little, and Justillo's going looking, which could be an error, but no, he actually wins out in that trade, giving them an early advantage and backs away from this.
Great opening pick again from Renegades. The issue though, again, as we've seen so many times, is that it hasn't been getting the opening picks that's been the issue. It's been holding off the pushes afterwards, and again they only find themselves with a HE and a smoke with 40 seconds or just over 40 seconds to play with.
Oh, that's a lovely fake mid to B play. They're trying to just kind of draw in here. Look, Yam, Azza, and JKS all dedicated towards B. While this happens though, you've got MSL and Rubino building up on long and still pressure on short.
Absolutely. This is where these orbs have to come into play for Renegades. So you've got 2 for a reason. 25 seconds, any frag from here on out is going to be massive. There's Sponge, lands the Scout. In actual fact, it's a Scout, not an AWP, my bad. But either way, Yam's AWP is in play. Tensky on 4 health. He's going to be coming around. The bomb is going to get planted. And now Tensky needs to be careful. He's between rock and a hard players, quite literally. As he gets put down from the 5-7. The second frag comes in from Azza. It's all on Rubino. He's got the angle. But the problem is, there's 4 players for him to deal with.
And Renegades are fighting tooth and nail for this one. Flash goes up, it catches 2, but it's not enough. The defuse yet to come in though. Renegades still need to make this count. Rubino's found the first, but he can't find any more. And the defuse will come through in the end. Yam has a kit, and Renegades live to fight another day. What an absolute shambles again from Dignitas, but such a big presence from Rubino. You had to almost start believing that could have worked out.
In a round where they had an AWP, what ended up being a Scout, not an AWP, because I'm obviously a trash caster, and then some pistols, Renegades end up winning. So, again, who knows? Coming into that, I thought it's done. Like, this is Dignitas' chance to finalize, to get themselves a step closer to the major. Instead, they take a step backwards. Renegades still, though, make no mistake, they are still in a pretty sketchy position themselves.
Yeah, they really are. Yam, got to be able to handle this one. Shoulder peaks are coming out, and he's got 4 more targets to enjoy. Wait till the timing doesn't hit it, so that's going to actually allow Renegades, Team Dignitas to get pretty close by. This could be problematic now for Yam. The flash comes out, but it's not done well enough. There's Tensky coming in, and now Azza's pinned out. This is very nice from Dignitas. Well formed, may I say. Config catches onto Azza, but Justillo's keeping this one in check. But a bomb plant is not a bad thing to see. Now Rabino left in a 1v3, takes the fight towards Long, can't hit the shot, the leap up does come out, and he gets a little bit of tag on the fly, but Rabino adjusts, finds Sponge. Oh, Rabino gets JKS, it's down to a 1v. No! Rabino, what a sick bit of play to take Dignitas to match point now, 15-12. That is outstanding from that man.
Oh, Renegades. Take nothing away from Rabino, that was amazing, but Renegades, come on now. How? Just peeking him one by one. Just conga-lining their way to a defeat like that. We know what Renegades are like emotionally. That's pretty much the game, in my opinion, unless they just step up another notch. I'm lost for words, Lauren.
They had everything that they could have wanted coming into this game. Dignitas, possibly close to a tilt, a map that they would call a 50-50 chance on, but to give up moments like that, you're gonna be having to suffer through that one for some time. And now Dignitas are on the verge of putting themselves in with another shot towards the major, and Renegades going home. This is a tough round to watch. It's just pistols now to change the difference as Justillo. Here's what's coming his way. He takes the chance, he takes the shot. He gets one, and now he sees the full picture, at least part of it, coming out from Dignitas.
Come on, Renegades. Brush it off. That's a beautiful flashbang, but they can't capitalize on it. Intensity with the second kill. Here comes for a third. He's had pretty much nothing done this entire match, but now in the 28th round is his. Azza, he's been one of the standout players for Renegades, but that Rabino clutch for me was effectively game, set, and match right there. Renegades are eliminated. They will not be going to Cologne.
What a match from Dignitas, showing what they're made of on a map you would not call their home turf in any way, shape, or form. Individuals stepping up to make some incredible difference. Bear in mind, Cajun B's performance was outstanding. Yep. Tensky having moments, Config, even having it was like a 3K, 4K coming into the round, really securing it on the plant as well. And after what was a good start for Renegades, they just couldn't capitalize on that CT side at all.
No, they couldn't. They had a great start. They were 8-2 up. We mentioned that a couple of times. Dignitas, in fairness, showed great grit and determination to bounce back, but then they just went completely missing in that second half. A catalogue of errors, a lot of unforced errors. Rabino's clutch, I think, summarizes pretty well what we were talking about, but I don't know. My mind is blown.
I think
much.
We need to have a little bit of a calm down between us, because that was an incredible game. But guys, I can't wait to see what the analysis has to say about that one. So take it away, boys.
Albeit a bit of a surprising affair, Dignitas getting through it in the end. To understand what went wrong for Renegades and to understand what on earth that clutch was all about at the end there, I've got Vendetta and Blue to talk about this one. Guys, I think it's safe to say when you're 8-2 up, Renegades, that game was theirs to lose. Is that a fair assumption to make?
I think it was both teams.
What, 8-2?
I think this was a very clear case of seeing two teams that don't play the map pretty much at all, because you could tell how how messy their CT sides were. Just take the first gun round, really, where you see Renegades on their CT side try to retake that A bomb site with 5 people coming from catwalk.
Yeah. Didn't they try a run boost? I'm almost certain they were like, oh, Hellraisers did this. It looked cool.
Yeah, it was super effective for Hellraisers as well, right?
Yeah, super.
So I think this was just merely a showcase of two teams having horrible CT sides and just getting by off of decent team play and actually working together on their T side. It wasn't anything marvelous on their T side either, but their CT sides were just god awful.
Same kind of sentiments from you, Blue?
Yeah, the thing you have to remember about the CT side on that map is it can be very polarizing, especially on the A-bomb side, and that if you lose like 1 or 2 players and you don't have proper positions from that point forward, you're already boxed out of the site, and then retaking is a near impossibility unless you're able to get really good control back really quickly, and unfortunately neither of those sides were able to do it. For Dignitas, though, again, it was those big performances from Config along with Cajun, yeah, and then at the end there we saw that huge clutch from Rabino.
Yeah, which was, again, the Rabino clutch at the end there was kind of a result of Renegades having, poor retakes. Sponge jumping up way too early, not having the possibility of a trade. Basically, fairly cookie-cutter stuff for teams who actually practice Dust2 or practice, any CT side. The fact that you do stuff as together when you retake sites.
Yeah. And I mean, let's not forget just how surprised that the map was Dust2. That was the curveball thrown in by Renegades, and the Clutch Master himself is standing by with Mitch, who hopefully shed some insight on what happened in that veto and what happened in the games. Over to the Aussie.
Thank you very much, guys. Yes, I am here with Rubino, arguably the man of the moment after that incredible performance towards the end of the match. Now, you and Renegades this year combined have only played Dust2 10 times. So that's not much, let's be honest here. What were your thoughts when you saw that one come up?
Well, we were like, I think we were ready to play Dust2 versus them. Like we watched them play, like they haven't played it so much, and we have been practicing a lot lately, and we felt like kinda confident on it. Of course, it's a new map for us, but since KGB joined our team, he's pretty good with the op, like rotating, calling, yeah, pretty good. So he helped us a lot playing as CT and also T. So Dust2 is like a comfort map, I would say, like it's okay.
It's good that you have that depth in your map pool as well, because we were talking about how this tournament would kind of reveal that, those teams that have those weaker map pools and those that don't. Dignitas, as a team, missed the last major, of course, and that was quite a crushing blow for you guys now. You're one step away. How are you guys feeling? What does it mean to you as well to secure this major? You with your newer team, I guess you could say, and the rest of the guys who missed out last time.
Well, this means everything for us to qualify to the major. Like we have been practicing a lot to try to qualify, and that's like the most important thing for us right now. We bootcamped like prior to this event like 6 days, so hopefully we can bounce back, play good next match and qualify.
Well, you've definitely turned up since that first game was a bit of a struggle for you guys, but you definitely turned it up. Look, absolute pleasure to have you here, Rubino, as well. We hope to see you guys again for maybe another winners interview. That would be nice, wouldn't it? There it is. The Danes have sent the Australians home, and they are one game away from getting to that major. Very, very important times for them as well. And we have another epic game just around the corner as well. More teams' fates are yet to be decided. So let's find out who will get themselves one step closer and who will be bowing out of the competition after the break.